Hey foodies, welcome to Grab a Bite. Today we're hanging out with one of the best chefs in the country, Chef Chele Gonzalez, whose restaurant Gallery by Chele recently earned a Michelin-starred and the Philippines' first and only Michelin Green Star. We're diving into his culinary philosophy, his unique restaurant concepts, and the story of why he chose the Philippines as his creative home. So sit back, relax, and let's grab a bite with Chef Chele Gonzalez. You've worked in El Bulli, Arzak, and Mogaretz back when they were at the peak of their careers, right? Now you've already gotten your Michelin star too. What's the biggest difference from working in that kitchen way back before to now working in the modern kitchen?
I'm going to say something that it might put me a little bit in a stretch situation, but of course I have been working with some of the best chefs in the world, and I had to say thank you because without that training and that vision, I will not be the person who I am. Of course, I'm the person who I am because my mother, her values, and who teach me to first, in life, if you want something, you need to work hard.
Yeah.
And you need to sacrifice things that coming from her. But of course, other things, come from my mentors. And now saying that, obviously, that gives you a foundation that you will not be able to be who you are. Right now, there's a big controversy and about Noma. I don't know if you heard about it, about the stagiaires who work for free.
Yes, yes.
Now, let's put some context. Positive and negative things.
Okay.
Positive things. We, as individuals, we have the right to do whatever we want to with our lives. Sometimes, let's say, a chef come to me after 2 to 3 years and say, and it's a key person in the team. I say, hey, I want to do this because this. And say, well, I understand you. And my responsibility is also, and my commitment with you is to support you. How can I help you? If the person live in the right terms, give you the right time, have been an incredible team member, and me as a mentor, my responsibility is to really help. Of course, if the other way around, also it also can damage the relationship.
Yes.
But I think, that commitment or, that freedom to do whatever you want goes to, if I want to work for free in a place, because I'm getting a training that I'm paying for a school.
Yes.
I'm paying for a culinary school. And I'm learning 10 times less than to go in 6 months, 8 months, 1 year to a restaurant and work for free. I'm not working for free. And getting knowledge,
Yes.
and able to work with the highest level of cuisine, and to be around with someone who have a special vision.
Yes.
So I don't think if someone decide to, with my time, with my life, with my training, I do whatever I want, I cannot be criticized. I think that is a mistake. Some people say, oh, nobody should work for free. It's like, you are going to a school and you are working for free.
Yeah.
And you are paying for that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So let's put in context. Now there is another things that are showing up, that is behavior in the kitchen. Meaning, sometimes, during those times and those kitchens, it was a very military, old school
Yes.
behavior,
Yeah.
And it's a reality. I have been living in kitchens that it was extremely military. It was very hard. Actually, I'm not going to say the name of the restaurant, but I was working in a restaurant that some people who was in the army said, this is even harder than the army.
Oh my God. I have to agree.
Okay. And I had to say that I have been times in my career that I also have been extremely hard and extremely disciplined, because that it was the training that I have.
Yes.
Never
That was the
mean,
culture basically that
Yes.
you grew up with. Yeah.
never unrespect anybody. So I will never question you as a person. I'm very mild and now, but I was time that, of course, if we want to work at this level and, you are dropping the ball and you are not okay. For me, maybe one point to trust one person, it will be simple this. If you care or not, if you care about what you do, if you care about me, then I care about you, relationship is very simple. You care about me, I give you back.
Yes.
So if you have someone who doesn't care and is destroying the work of everybody else, I'm going to be hard. Or I used to be hard to that person. I think, our parents probably, and, it was discipline. So now we're in a modern world where, everybody wants or can do whatever they want. They had to be some discipline. They had to be some authority also. Now, I think the world switched in that sense to a more positive way. You can say the things in a nicer way. You can find ways to motivate people, but they still maintain authority, and still maintain discipline. So I think in that sense, things have evolved in a more positive way. Me, myself, I have evolved in a much positive way. But still, I think that is, a big improvement on what it used to be. And I think right now there are kitchens that are extremely casual, and everything is. But also, as a chef, we have several responsibilities. First one of all, hygiene and safety. You are providing food that can be delicious, can be fun, but can kill people. So if you don't maintain some standards of hygiene in that state, it's dangerous. You are working with knives, so you can cut, you can hurt yourself. You are moving in a very dangerous environment where it's fire, where it's knives. That if there is not some kind of procedures, it's not like you are working in an office with no. You are working in a kitchen, and it is dangerous to work in a kitchen. So we need to maintain that kind of responsibility. So things can be casual, but hey, we have the life of people in our hands. But yes, I think the new culture in the kitchen is much nicer. And again, I think the key of success in my case is really to switch to a very positive working environment. Sometimes you can be a little bit tough, but immediate, but be very kind with your team. Be very supportive. Listen to them. Listen to them, because you'll find things that you don't know everything, and listening to your team, you will be able to become much better and build a team.
I think there's a really big cultural change in terms of the kitchen. Because before, I remember when we watch certain chefs, like say the world-renowned chefs, like let's say Marco Pierre White, they grew up in a environment where it was really, really tough. But now the modern kitchen, it's much more, like you said, they're much more positive already. And it's a big shift already. Chef, for some of our viewers that doesn't know what staging is, could you explain what it is?
So stage is an internship, basically.
Internship, yes.
So what you do is you take a period of time that you agree with the restaurant, and you go there and learn what is happening in that kitchen. So of course it should be a mutual commitment from the restaurant and from the individual who engage in that program, where the restaurant will show you all the recipes, all the secrets, all the systems, everything that made them successful. And and then you will be part of the team. Of course, there are many modes. So sometimes the stagiaires, the basic one is you get food, and you can get allowance. Sometimes you get a minimum salary. It can be me. I was doing a stage for almost 2 years in my life, or even more, around 2 years, I think. I didn't get any pay. I even had to, in some of the places, they give me a house allowance. I'll provide you a room to stay. In some others, I had to pay for my apartment. But again, it was my choice. Nobody
Forced you to do it.
for me to do it.
Yeah.
And I think it was the best decision to really become a chef, to really, because kitchen is a very craft job.
Yeah, it is.
It's
You
very
have to practice it.
repetitive.
Yes.
Exactly.
You have to put the hours in to be good at it.
and you need to, so it's not like more technology or other things. This is it's still a physical work. So you need time. It's a craftsmanship, job. You need to repeat the same action to do it, in a perfection level. So I think is fantastic, to take that time if you have the time, if you have, of course, the money to invest it. But for me, it's an amazing investment.
Chef, is stodging a thing here in the Philippines? Because honestly, I haven't heard anyone doing stodge here so far. Well, I mean, the Michelin star just got here last year, so maybe more stodges would be coming. But it's a big thing around the world. A lot of young chefs I know has been doing it.
Well, all the schools here by law, they need to render 200 to 300 hours
Yeah.
In a F&B establishment. So they can be in a hotel, they can be in a restaurant, they can be. So we do have a lot of interns in the restaurant, but we don't rely on them. Meaning, we are around 22 or 24 chefs. I think we are in gallery. A part of the team members that we pay is 24, and maybe right now we get around maybe 6 interns. So, to help, each other, in that sense. We have, and we still have from around the world, chefs who can and they touch with us. But we minimize that. I think now with Michelin, I think I want to have a lot of consistency. So sometimes also, just to be honest also, to also have someone who is out of your environment, it also, and you are at several levels, you need to put time to that person.
Yes.
To integrate a person in your team, to make sure that that person, follow the standard that you have, and it's no mistake, that come in there. So for me, we have some interns, but we minimize. Actually, you were telling me before that a lot of people write to me, and sometimes if I don't know the person, and I sometimes don't reply because I don't even, it's like my days are full of tasks, and I'm very responsible, and I don't usually finish all the things I had to do in the day. But at this moment, sometimes it's applying internationally, but to have someone from abroad also, requires a lot of complexity in many other things. So right now we are a little bit slow down in we have few from the schools. We work with few schools, and maybe we have one stage, a year from abroad, if ever come from a school. But right now we are minimizing that.
Would you say that nowadays younger chefs are much more eager just to cook and basically just show their passion and not really aim for it? Because I've talked to some young chefs, especially nowadays, they're not really that much into the Michelin star. Like, they're not really aiming for that. Not like when I was in culinary school back in the 2010s. I think all of the culinary students were just thinking, I just want to get a star. Hopefully someday I get to work in a Michelin-starred restaurant. But now, do you see that too in your kitchen?
Well, I see there are changes, maybe not for better. Sorry to say that, because we live in a different world. So right now, maybe some people is more eager to be more famous in social media.
Yeah.
Than to get a Michelin star. Is that better? I think Michelin have at least, a solid background that if you get a star or 2 or whatever, definitely you are doing something right. There are other things that could be questionable. But I think maybe from my generation to the generation right now, I see that things, because we live now in a world that everything goes very fast, that amplified also to the kitchen world, and I think that's dangerous. They want to become stars. Or maybe they don't want to be a Michelin star, but they want to be a star.
Yeah.
Because now, you can be a star in many different forms. You don't need to be a fine dining chef to be a star. You can make burgers or you can make pizza, and you can be a star too. So that, I think, is this kind of very fast moving world where everything has to happen fast, where you want that success. Look, in F&B, if you want to success, you need to fail. And I have, my first F&B business was when I was 20 years old. So that is 30 years ago. I'm 50 now. I opened a nightclub electronic music. I almost bankrupt. I invest money that it was my family money. I compromised things because I was not ready, but I was smart enough and maybe lucky, and I think I'm lucky also in life, to solve and recover the investment and actually make some money to pay for my culinary studies. When I opened here, Basque and Gallery Basque was the first project. It was very successful, but then I started to open more, and I was not ready for micromanage at the time. And I also, the whole ecosystem almost fell down, and I almost bankrupt. And I had to really close down some restaurants, reset again, and start from scratch and go slowly. And, move from Gallery Basque, because Basque was a Basque country restaurant, so it didn't have sense to have that. And to keep attached and alive the brand, we put it Gallery by Chele. So it is the same restaurant, is that we rebranded, same philosophy. So, but that was a time that I also, everything almost fell apart. Right. But, my partners, the Kalma family, support me financially, and then they give me a second opportunity, and then all of our restaurants, are ROI, and, we are doing very well. But I think without sometimes where, you really are stretched and they are difficult, and financially you are, having a hard time, I don't think you can succeed.
Yeah.
So, you cannot pretend to be a star chef because, you have some kind of attention or you have some kind of visibility. I remember one of my mentors, Chef Antoni Luis Aduriz from Mugaritz, Michelin-starred, one of the most recognized chefs in the world. He came here during Madrid Fusion in 2015. During that time, actually in 2016, we entered in Asia 50 Best as number 39 best restaurant in Asia and best restaurant in the Philippines. And I think at that time it was a spotlight in gallery, and it was so bright. But then I remember he came as a friend, as a mentor, said, the difficult is not to get there. The difficult part is to maintain yourself always in that position. And man, after already, almost 12 years in that, hype, wow, to maintain yourself, as a top
How do you
leader.
sustain it then? If we're talking about 2016, that's basically a decade already. So how do you sustain that level of excellence?
So 2014 by Esquire, we got Restaurant of the Year.
Yeah.
2015, we start to appear in many lists, including Tatler, as the 20 best restaurant in the Philippines, and from there so on. So I think one is be focused. Focus on, do you want really this for you? I mean, do you want the status of be a leader and be a top player? That is a question that you need to answer to yourself, because that comes with a lot of compromise and a lot of sacrifice.
Yes.
Nobody's going to give you nothing for free. Well, at least in my case. And I think also for different reasons, I had to prove myself several times. It was not one, it was not two, it was not three, it was not four. It feels to me that constantly I need to prove myself. Also, I'm not from here, so that, I'm not also Asian. So, that is a fact that sometimes, you need to have in consideration, and you need to really make yourself valuable. But in the other hand, Filipinos have been extremely kind with me. I only have, beautiful things to say. Of course, it having times that it was difficult, but at the same time, also I see the appreciation and the support from the industry in general. So again, every year I think is a challenge, and every year, you have to ask yourself, do I really want this? But at some point, yes, they have been times that they say, hey, maybe I drop the ball, maybe I relax a little bit, maybe I change the mood. But then also you look forward and say, yeah, so hard we have been working to be where we are, are we wrong to drop the ball? So I think it's also a personality thing and obviously ambitious. But maybe now with 50 years old, the ambition, it changed to something different. So basically, it's also a respect on the brands that I create, the hard working that everybody have been put in there. If we talk about gallery, we're talking about thousands maybe of people who have been passing there in 13 years, and each one of them make today the restaurant that we are. I was talking with Joey, who was dining yesterday there, and I don't need to be back to anybody. Gallery for me at this stage is a happy place.
Happy place, yeah.
It's a happy environment because we create a culture where people, we work in motivation. So for me, I always said, I don't want anybody call me a boss. I'm not the boss of anybody. If ever, I'm the boss of myself, and a hard boss, and I'm a very hard boss to myself. But and a team leader and a team member. So my role here is to have a vision, and as a leader, bring everybody together, motivate the people, and create a happy work environment where people will respect each other when they respect me. And because they respect me, they will also follow that vision and they will become their vision too. And actually it's happening, So everybody, is very eager, Sometimes I don't need to get involved in so many things anymore because they are the ones who become also the leaders. And they are the ones who make the things happen. So, go for right now to gallery, be in the service, and it's like, wow, I was dreaming for this years ago to really operate at this level. And, where everybody, each station, everything, of course, me, I taste the food, I give inputs, I, make things more fine, or, I improve things, but, the foundations are there.
There's already, yeah.
And it's just, I go to the kitchen, it's so enjoyable. When before it was sometimes so hard and so frustrating because I was used to work in 3 Michelin-starred kitchens, and I wanted to feel that we were working at the highest level. So right now, it's happening. So what beautiful feeling, no? So maybe that feeling is even most beautiful that to have, awards. But undeniable, the day that we got, the Michelin awards and the stars, of course, for a chef, it's also our biggest accolade. This is an opportunity to really elevate your standards.
Yes.
Push for more standards, because now if you push for more, will be recognized, and it's not only recognized in the Philippines, it's recognized worldwide. So I think that it's like, for us, it's like, okay, let's prove ourselves first to ourselves, and then second, for me, I don't want to earn anything that I don't deserve. For example, if you don't deserve for some reason, be award number best restaurant in Asia, or number 12 restaurant in Asia, I'd rather to don't get that award. Or maybe don't focus to have that award, because that is not what you are, or you are not ready for that, or you are not in that level,
or you don't deserve it yet.
Or you don't deserve it. So for me, it's more important is like, first, prove ourselves to push hard, and say, okay, we're at this level, and now maybe we can recognize or not. That is not our choice. That is the choice for the people who give the awards.
Yes.
But at the same, for me, is be integrity. I think integrity is extremely important for me. And I think I live my life, and I live my business, and I live my standards through integrity.
Pag sinabi natin Filipino food or Filipino cuisine, pumapasok agad sa isip natin ang mga pagkain na tulad ng lumpia, sisig, or adobo. Naalala din natin ang mga lugar tulad ng Pampanga na may traditional and conservative cuisine, o kaya naman Iloilo na kilala bilang food haven ng Philippines dahil sa mga diverse na pagkain dito. or Metro Manila with its unique and innovative Filipino food selection. Pero merong isang probinsya na less than 40 kilometers away lang sa Manila ang meron din rich history, diverse food, at innovative dishes ang hindi masyadong nabibigyan ng pansin pagdating sa Filipino cuisine. Let's discover the hidden culinary gems of this province, Cavite. Catch all the episodes of Flavors of the Region on our YouTube channel, Bitesized.PH. Chef, let's talk about your Michelin star. Congratulations on your Michelin star and also the Green Star, not
Yes.
just the Michelin star. So can you take us through the moment that you learned that you were getting these stars?
Well, we got several emails from Michelin from actually 4 restaurants. At the beginning, I didn't know that, because you get invited, it means that you are going to have something.
Yes.
So, of course, very nervous at the beginning. It's like, what's going on? What is going to happen? You can imagine so many things. You have so many different scenarios. And I think it was a beautiful day for the industry.
Yes.
I think we were everybody so happy. And I'm sure, there were people who was not there awarded.
Mm-hmm.
And they really, truly deserve it. I don't want to say who, but there's, but of course we need to understand Michelin was the first year in the country, and they have to count in several different, every year they will be here with, so, more years, more awards, more things will happen. But I think what I remember about that day, and I think we all had to remember about that day, it was a message that Michelin sent out, and it was about the young Filipino generations. They say, the one thing that we are more impressed of anything is about the new talents, the new generations, how impressive they are, and how many. And if you see the awards, most of the awards went to the young and Filipino talents. So I think what we need to catch up from that day is that. I know it have been a lot of hostile comments, and especially saying, why do we need Michelin?
Yes.
And come on, why not? What is wrong? Why we're creating negative with something that it doesn't have to have any negativity? Look, I have been always listening, why Filipino cuisine is not yet out there. There are many different reasons why we are not going to analyze. But right now we're in the spotlight. We are getting there. And Michelin is helping that too. It's not only Michelin. I'm sure, a very important role plays the Filipinos who live abroad, and, especially in the US, and they, the new generations grow out there and they do Filipino American, Filipino Mexican, also in Paris, in London, that they are the most influential cities in the world, Filipino, even also in Australia and Melbourne, you can see more Filipino concepts. So it's happening, okay? And I think, right now, Filipino cuisine is getting, because the new generations, and please don't bother get mad at me, because sometimes the new generations get, a little bit more contemporary, but that is necessary, and it happened all the way.
Yes.
Remember Spain, and I think this is an important message. Spain, for many years, was always in the shadows of France. France always was the number one in Western cuisine. For a few years, we were number one. Then it was the Northern cuisine with Noma and all of that came. But, and then, it was a strong fight inside of the country between the modern cuisine, because we were number one on modern,
Yes.
they call it sometimes molecular.
The molecular gastronomy was Spain.
In Spain, also questionable, but in the sense of the terms. But anyways, we were number one for several years. We're still one of the top, in the world. But it was an internal fight, because some people was very against on the modern cuisine, and say, why? Finally we are number one, and we are destroying each other. Saying this, because sometimes I felt a lot of hostility about the chefs, when the Filipino chefs, they do modern Filipino cuisine or contemporary. But it's a way to refine it. It's a way to present it. Like, it was a big controversy about bok choy, because, hey, please, okay, let's go, because I study and I did work with a lot of historians. Let's go on time. What we sometimes call traditional, maybe is 100 or 200 years old on time.
Yeah.
Maybe what we are defending something that is not at all on time.
Yes.
And it came from also from an innovation.
Yes.
It came from a blend between
point.
Chinese and Filipino cuisine, or Spanish and Filipino and Chinese, because bok choy have a strong Chinese influence, So it was a time, it was an innovation. It was someone who was creating something new. And now we defend that that is the only way to go. So let the new generation showcase what is contemporary Filipino cuisine, because it will help in many ways. And also, to the foreign palate to get engaged, with Filipino cuisine. So it's nothing wrong. And I like it, that the Michelin give also that credentials, because it really helps a lot. And going back to, that day and what means, Michelin, let's be happy, because right now Michelin is an international platform.
Yes.
Where it doesn't matter if you're in Japan,
Yeah.
or you are in France, or you are in the United States, everybody recognizes Michelin.
Yes.
Why we need a Michelin? Maybe we don't need it, but it really hurts to hear. It hurts to be among of the best restaurants in the world. It hurts to to have a guide that people who is from abroad, they can go to a BP Gourmand or Michelin selected, that normally they will have a good feedback after. Is anything wrong to be part of the world gastronomy? So I think it really, do we need it? That is a question mark, but in my opinion, it doesn't bring anything negative.
Yes. It actually helps us more.
I think right now, it give the same level as in France and as Japan, and we have restaurants. How happy we should be that in the first year we got one of the biggest stars in Southeast Asia. So more than other countries. I don't want to compare with other countries, but it was really like Filipino cuisine and Filipino culinary scene.
Yes.
It was really, exceeded, expectations. So I think, let's focus in the positive. And I don't think it hurts. And, that we don't need validation. It's not about validation. It's about, Michelin is a very recognized, like award that chefs, people in the industry, diners recognize.
Yes.
And it's something that, it really put us as the same level, no more, no less, than what is happening around the world.
Yeah. So we're at least getting known for it. And I agree. The Michelin star would help us at least put the Philippine food scene on the map. They'll have an idea on what our standard is, on what our talent is. I think it's more of our talent as Filipinos in the kitchen.
Exactly. And that it was what the Michelin was saying. It's about, the young Filipino talents and the potential of what Philippines, can offer to the rest of the world. And showcase. It's not, only Michelin. It comes from the chef. It comes from an exciting, dining scene in the Philippines. Dining here is so many, each restaurant have a different personality. It's not like a copy paste or this fine dining clone, You really have a very exciting restaurants here. And have the opportunity to people wants to come here to dine, and it's happening already. And also, the regular diners, also appreciate that. Come on, it's so good,
It is.
Hopefully, the Michelin, it will take
for
time.
the industry in general.
No, but I think, we'll give, a tourist point where people can, in these days, let's put also facts. When people choose a destination, how much of the decision may come from the places they're going to dine, and from the food that they can eat. In these days, tourists and go to take vacation is not only about go to a beach, that
place.
also it is. It's also coming many diners and many people travel because it's a food, travel.
Yeah, it's food
So
destination.
let's understand that, this is an important role in tourism and in economy.
Yeah. Chef, do you feel pressured now that you've earned the Michelin star? Do you feel pressured in creating your menus, in doing your concepts? Is it more of a trap for you, or is it a big responsibility now that you've earned this award?
I think first of all you need to be um, loyal to who you are and what you do. And if you get recognized by Michelin, amazing. Of course, I'm not going to deny that I'm looking to be in the Michelin Guide and of course grow in the Michelin Guide. It will be, but I will not stop to be, and I will not change our identity because Michelin. I hope Michelin will appreciate who we are for what we have been doing over the years, and will be recognized because that. But get obsessive to have a more Michelin award and really truly lose who you are. I think I'm not going to take that path. But in the other side, how, I mean, I have been working in Michelin restaurants. I have been in 3 or 4. So also, what is Michelin standards. So of course, we will also take actions to improve in Michelin standards that also improve your restaurant itself. Okay. Yes. So yes, we work on that. Right now, for example, in Gallery, we have 3 sommeliers. And I had to say that now we are launching the Heirloom Rice project. That is a menu focusing in heirloom rice. And it has been extremely difficult. But I'm so happy when it come up because we need to reach several buckets. Okay, first of all, when we got the Green Star, for me, it comes with integrity. So we really, after we got the Green Star, and I think it was very beautiful for all of us when we got it. I think it means a lot to us because it's something that we have been doing for 13 years. Mm-hmm. So first of all is we review of what we have communicated and where we are and what we need to improve and how can we do things that we believe are meaningful in that sense. Yes. A Green Star is not only about sustainability. It's one of the points I believe. But when you read, what also for Michelin is about innovation, and I think we reach sustainable values, and also we do a lot of innovative approach as we develop a big program of bioproducts as well. That minimize waste and it's a different approach of how an ingredient can be used. So. But we improve our garden waste and compost procedures. We really went back to the mountains to engage with communities. I know since 2014. How can we really help them? We always say that we use 90% of local ingredients, and we don't deny, and we never did, that our main course is use WUA5. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, I have also responsibility with my diners, and I cannot find the highest level of meat in the Philippines, so I have no choice. That's why the rest of the menu is all seafoods majority. Mm-hmm. Or if I use quail or duck, it's something that it had to be local. But since sometimes I cannot find now local duck, I decide to use local abalone. So we really try to bring everything as much as we can that is sustainable. Not everything that we use is organic. Mm-hmm. But now we have an R&D chef who is in focus on that, and we're trying to improve. So every point, we will really analyze and try to become better. For me, that is very important, to really be integrity with you have a Green Star. That is a responsibility. How can we improve every year? So we did a program of how we improve this year. Now, so you have a Green Star. We have a one star. Of course, we will dream to have more. Again, we are not a young restaurant. We're a 13-year-old restaurant. So how can we do a menu that first it doesn't commit to lose our identity, to use local ingredients, to go to the mountains, to use a rice as your center, and do a whole menu, around rice? That is completely insane. I can tell you. And at the same time, make something that is very experimental at some point, very innovative, but delicious. It had to be. We have so many ideas. We went to the test kitchen so many times, and some of them it was not working because the rice is difficult to work and balance the menu. every single dish, every way, everything is put in the menu is a study. We go back and forth. I have been sitting at least 3 times to taste this menu as a diner, to improve things and and to have context. Not too much food, not too little. How we make the food, be round, and that the next dish will complement the previous dish. So wow, it have been 6 or 7 months of R&D, like intense, like crazy, to reach those buckets. You had to be, bringing the values of what means a green star. Bringing your values of your identity. Don't lose yourself because you want more stars or because you want more in Michelin.
Yes.
Be honest of what you have been doing for 13 years. Make delicious dishes, balance, improve in finesse. I want to see myself from the cacao and the coconut menu, and I want this menu to be better. Just because I want to prove to myself. And I hopefully Michelin also will see that, of course. But first of all, is proof to us, that what we are doing is even better, more fine, more balanced. The flavor, how they match each other, as said to be delicious, is improving from previous. The balance, the harmony, and so how you find the best ingredients in the Philippines and you make it sign. So yeah, it's a lot of buckets that you need to reach, and sustainable business as well. But we are fully booked every day, so
That's good. That's a good problem too. Having been fully booked every day, being busy, I don't think it's going to be a problem. So, chef, can you tell us more about your philosophy in terms of your culinary approach? Because they've been throwing around words like anthropological approach. So, can you explain more about that?
okay. So the way Anthropological approach, it was not mine. So it was a journalist who came to it in gallery during Madrid Fusion in 2015. His name is Jose Carlos Capel, and he described our cuisine as anthropological cuisine, because we were working with a lot of indigenous communities. We were using a lot of ancestral cooking, like cooking in bamboo, in banana leaf, applying to the modern techniques. So that I don't know if it's true that I have been working with historians. We still work with a lot of endemic and a lot of endemic ingredients and communities. We try to really go back of how nature it is and provide to humans, no. So I think that is integrated, maybe to the radical point that what we do is anthropological at some points, and somehow in some moments having more deep. But I will not describe ourselves, I will describe ourselves more as a terroir cuisine.
Terroir cuisine.
So basically, if I had to put a tag, I don't like to put a tag, because Gallery by Chele, it's all about, freedom and creativity.
Yes.
And our innovation.
Don't want to be boxed.
But I think terroir could work as a term, because the restaurant philosophy is focused in inspiration in the Philippines. So basically, as a foreign, I came here, and I remember when I came, well, still now, if you check, cuisines around the world, Western cuisines, you go to US, you go to Europe, how much Japanese influences you have.
Yes.
Thai, Indonesian, sometimes Vietnamese. So it's a little big, Chinese a lot on these days.
Definitely.
So if you check, Western contemporary cuisine, Asian is a big influence. So when I came here to the Philippines, and the reason things evolved the way evolved was in a very simple foundation, that is what a chef should be. A chef should be curious, without this curiosity to learn something new every day, because you will never know everything about the different cuisines and other different things around the world. So, I mean, food and cooking is so wide that it's infinite.
Yes.
So anyways, I think curiosity is one of the reasons, or make the difference to be a great chef, or just not.
Yeah.
So that sense of curiosity bring me to the Philippines. I wanted to work for hotels and change my background to only work in fine dining to, work in resort, change, I can in vacation. I like it here. I wanted to, to have an adventure. And that adventure is also part of gallery foundations. And suddenly I see myself living here. I have the opportunity to work with my great partners who are my family, the Calmas, majority, and of course Chef Carlos and Cyril. But you know, the Calmas are really the founders and the ones who really make me the opportunity to who we am. Thank you very much to them. But there are more than just investors or partners. They are also, you know, family for me. And then, you know, I say, wow, you know, I go to the street and I say, quick, or I see Okoi, or I see Sisik, and, you know, everything became so interesting. And I heard about those flavors. And I start to travel around the Philippines and I see ingredients and things that I never seen. So it was like, wow, everything for me was wow. I got so inspired. It was so much emotions, you know. And I think in this kind of what we do is you want to translate those emotions to your diners and say, oh, I experienced this, I felt this, I want you to feel the same. So it was a very simple approach, you know.
Just Chef, what dish made you say, I really like to stay here in the Philippines? Was there a certain dish or was there a certain maybe moment that made you decide, wow, I think I'd really like to establish something here in the Philippines?
Well, the one who touched very much myself, and it really shaped what this gallery is still until today. It was my first encounter with the Aetas in Pampanga, close to Pampanga. I was like, this is unbelievable. Because we went, they took me there to make me an interview. And actually, the interview was cook with an indigenous community and then you do your modern taking on that. Because I was already working with local ingredients. Mm-hmm. So you see, you know, to experience, you know, how people still live like thousands of years ago. That they were cooking in bamboo. That they were cooking, you know, yes, that they were respecting their heritage, you know, yes. And they were living in the middle of the jungle. It's like, where you can find this else around the world? Not so many places. Of course, you know, maybe in Indonesia, maybe in some part of Latin America, but, you know, I felt that it was magical. And it touched me inside and say, wow, I want to deep more on this because this is special. And I think one of the magical things that the Philippines have is like these communities that they still live like thousands of years ago and they maintain their and preserve their culture. Yes, in Spain you can go to, we call it rural places or provincial places, yes. And you have still farmers or whatever, but they still live in between the provincial and the modern world, right? Yeah. But these people, they still live all the way down, like, you know, in the middle of the jungle, yes. And they don't even have sometimes electricity. So we should learn from them. That is, I think that is where the anthropological cuisine term comes. Because we start to deep on that. And we start, you know, and in a different project, it was the cultural connection between the Philippines and Spain. And I was working with a historian. And we went to the India's archives in Seville. And we were doing really a deep research about how the world shaped and changed cuisine because the galleon trade, yes. Because, you know, most of the ingredients that we now use in Europe, they were not used, yes. 500 years ago. So potatoes, without potatoes, no European cuisine will be exist. Spanish cuisine, forget it. Spanish omelette, you know. Yeah. Italian cuisine without tomatoes, you know. Korean cuisine without chilies or Thai cuisine without chilies. But all of this happened in the last 400 years. Yes. The world gastronomy changed really much because the galleon trade and the discovery of America and the shape of ingredients, yes. And the movement of all of that. So it was the first big globalization, I will say, no? So yes, of course, we had done a lot of research about that. So, and we did with so many communities. We also work very closely with the Tabanua and Corong, and they show us all of their recipes, ancestral recipes. So yes, at some point, in somehow, part of what we do, because that inspiration, it have part of anthropological. But it doesn't mean that we can just define ourselves as anthropological. But again, going to that point, terroir, because what gallery is about is about the Philippines, about these communities, about the ingredients, about the flavors, about the dishes. Sometimes even that we are very clear, we are not a Filipino restaurant, but yes, you can find something that is a character inspiration, or is, you know, something that, because it's part of the Philippines. So definitely it's a restaurant that, you know, is focusing basically and mostly in the local ingredients and how we can shape it in a very unique and creative way, where, and I like to don't be tagged as a Filipino restaurant, maybe because I'm foreign, but of course, after 15 years in the Philippines, I eat Filipino food every day, you know, so it's also part of my comfort food, and this is my home, definitely, you know, this is my home as much as it's Spain. Just to put also one more thing in context, I left my home, no, my where I grew up when I was 17. So then I moved to England, and I moved to the US, and then I moved to another regions in the north of Spain, and then I moved to the Basque Country where I lived 10 years. So my hometown, I lived when I left when I was 17.
Very young.
But that is my home.
Yes.
But now it's gonna turn 16 years living in the Philippines, married with a Filipina, and, you know, having a baby. So yes, this is almost the same time already that my childhood, where I experienced and grow up and spend time with
and everything.
Almost the same.
Almost the same.
So, you know, yes, we need to understand that this, and consider this my home, 100%. Of course, I have two homes, you know.
Chef, what's your favorite Filipino food?
I will say a lot.
But is there one, like...
No, I cannot say one. You cannot say ask that question. But I'm going to tell you one that I think you have.
Funny thing is, every chef that I ask that question, they always say, no, I can't say one. I have to say like a lot of stuff. Yeah.
But I will say a few that I think are important. One of my favorite ones, and I think it has so much potential to showcase to the rest of the world, because everybody who try it, love it. Simple. Inasal.
Yeah. Chef, I have to agree. I love inasal. My God. Inasal is the best.
Something simple, grill, you cannot get wrong.
Best grilled chicken in the world, in my opinion.
One of the best.
Okay. That's my
You're Filipino, but, you know, I respect that. So it's so fragrant, so tasty, so good. I remember when I arrived here, you know, one of my first encounters with Filipino cuisine, it was in Manukan.
Bacolod.
No, yes, but it's a, you know, it's a chain called, you know, Manukan or something like that. Oh my God, so good. And, you know, I remember we used to go at least once a week with my Spanish friends. And it's just so fragrant, you know, the ginger, the lemongrass, the garlic, the chuete, you know.
Yes.
So, you know, flavorful. You know, my Spanish friends were saying, hey, let's open, you know, one of these concepts, you know, in Spain, you know, it will work so well. So it's so easy to understand to anybody. It's so easy to eat, you know, anywhere, anytime. It's fresh because it's grilled.
Economical too.
Yes. So I think that it will be a dish that, you know, for me is an ambassador dish. No, I mean, it's something that, you know, it can be really promoted as. We have one famous dish in gallery that is our signature. Is still since 2018. Is we call it fire pulpo. That the octopus is boiled Spanish style, and then we put the inasal marination, and then we put a chicken demi-glace. So we connect. So just to try to show creativity and diversity of how, you know, inasal can be used not only. And I remember also I went to Bacolod, and they have the blue marlin that they also put like this kind similar. Delicious. So, you know, amazing. I think great potential. Another, I think, now we go to an interesting part. So when I was traveling, and I still do, I just came from the Cordilleras, and it was an amazing trip. We were with Basil community, Mayuyao community, but, you know, having already traveling around the country for 12 years and meeting so many indigenous communities, something that it can always in any meal, majority, no, on the meals, it will always a sour soup.
Yes.
sour soup similar to a sinigang. Depends on the community, depends on the region.
Yeah,
It can
depends on
be
the
a
area.
different, what is called sour agent.
Sour agent,
Sometimes it can be a vegetable, sometimes it can be a leaf,
Yes.
sometimes it can be a herb, you know. But anyways, it make it, sour, and it can be different proteins. So I never encountered in the world anything similar to that. Yes, you have the sour soup. I hate the things as sour soup in Malaysia, but it's not that.
Thailand too, yeah.
And also I think in Thailand,
Yeah.
but it's with coconut is different.
Yes.
But that is strong cultural and extended as the Philippines, I've never seen anything. So for me, for an ancestral point of view, an anthropological point of view, I think sinigang is, the most, representative of my experience or of my personal view is the most representative Filipino dish.
Yes.
Maybe a lot of people will say it's adobo, whatever. Of course, it's
That's
just
your
my
opinion.
opinion.
Yes.
Because it goes beyond, because adobo is Spanish, Chinese,
Yes.
Filipino.
There's an influence of different cultures.
But looks like this is really, with any indigenous community, they already cooking in that way.
Yes.
So it looks like it's very much a personality from Filipino. Again, from my observations and my
Yes.
and my opinion. So, but I travel a lot. Another dish that I think is exceptional and so much potential is kinilaw.
Kinilaw, yes.
And in the restaurant, of course, it's not traditional kinilaw, but we always start with a kinilaw, something fresh, highlighting the fresh fish and seafood from the Philippines. I love to do that, start with something, you have, sourness.
Yes. It livens up your palate.
It's aromatic. So I love if it's a well kinilaw, it's delicious, and also it showcase, very ancestral point, because they said, when I also study that the aborigines of the Philippines, they were using tabon because
Yes,
it
tabon.
kills the bacteria of the raw fish because it's so abundant in seafood. We're in an archipelago, so they were eating raw fish with with the tabon, and they were using like kind of vinegars. So it looks like they said ancestrally is the most or the first Filipino dish.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, this
Most
could be
likely,
questionable.
I agree with that too.
Could be.
Could be.
So, everybody knows the Peruvian ceviche, but, we have the Filipino ceviche that we should really let the rest of the world. Of course, in my restaurant, I try to communicate, that how special is kinilaw. But I think, it's another dish that I think has so much potential.
More potential, yeah, I agree.
Sa episode na to, samahan nyo kaming explore ang kakaibang pahimagas, ano ba ito at saan nagmula ang inutak. Welcome to the Dessert of the Philippine Islands. Tara na!
Learn more about these regional delicacies and delicious sweets here on Desserts of the Philippine Islands. Catch all the episodes on our YouTube channel, Bitesized.PH. Can you run us through on how you make your menu or how you create your menu for not just Gallery, but also for Asador and all the other restaurants?
Okay. So important for me, essential for me, I'm a creator. I mean, I'm a creative mind. I think we all are. It's just you want to put yourself in that position. So we are all we have creativity inside us. It's just to really let shine, or find the techniques, or find the ways, or find your systems or procedures, how you are creative. And we all are. But I consider myself a very creative person. So one of the success to have a restaurant is to have identity. So for me, when I do a new concept, it had to be a clear identity, and it's different to the ones I had done before. And for me, that is essential. And it's not, here is not, we cannot, move away from there, I mean. So I have different Spanish restaurants. Actually, I have four. So the first one is Eñe in Cebu, and it's a good Spanish restaurant that showcases, the gastronomy around Spain.
Okay.
A good balance between modern and traditional. Then we have Cantabria. Cantabria is my hometown, my region, my province. So we are very strong in seafoods and also in dairy. So It's more focused in seafood,
Yeah.
and the heritage cuisine, and of course, some point very traditional, especially in the main course. Aside of seafood, of course, we have a variety of other dishes that popular dishes that Filipinos will appreciate or they will look when they go to a Spanish restaurant, but more in the seafood side, more in the my heritage cuisine from my hometown. A lot of the area and a lot of the traditional recipes from that part. Very traditional and at some points in some of the starters more modern. Then I have Asador Alfonso and now Alfonso Roasting Room. So we divide the space in two restaurants.
Okay.
Yes. So you were asking me before about Michelin. Yes, for example, in Asador I felt pressure because we have two different markets. We have families, big families, 20 people with the yayas, with the kids, they are running around. And they are looking for a la carte, for more popular dishes. Then you have a fine dining that, you know, testing menu format too. That I think that is a pure Michelin-starred restaurant, but I felt that it was a disconnection between the two different floors. So the ground floor is more for families oriented and a la carte. So we decided to change the menu, and one is more still traditional. There is not so much contemporary modernity. It's focused in traditional cuisine, popular recipes, and asador style. We changed the name and we changed the dishes. So, and then we invested in the second floor. We invested in 3 kitchens actually in the second floor, only around 25 to 30 covers, and to be a clear and focused Michelin-starred. Testing menu to testing menus, heritage cuisine, roasting house, everything that we cook, or we do, most of the dishes at some point have something that is cooked in the oven.
Okay.
An oven that we brought from Spain, so we had to identify and separate. Yes, both are Spanish restaurant, but one is more popular and, you know, well-known traditional Filipino. Sorry, Spanish dishes. Filipino also that knows about that, and very family-oriented. Okay, kids can go around, very casual. You have the garden, people goes inside, outside.
Very
beautiful.
Good. Very beautiful restaurant, by the way, chef.
Yes.
Very beautiful.
A place that people will go with the families and enjoy the weekend. And then we have Asador Alfonso, more controlled environment, 2 show kitchens, they are cooking in front of you, very, you know, like heritage cuisine with a touch of, you know, contemporary, but respecting the ingredients. We flew very product driven, you know. We flew the best ingredients from Spain. We used some of the farms from around, you know, local ingredients. But, you know, the only thing that Asador Alfonso and Alfonso Roasting Room have in common is the roasting specialties. That is the lamb and the cochinillo. But in Alfonso Roasting Room is presented like the whole piece family style. And in Asador Alfonso is plated boneless, you know. And then I have also the last addition to the family, that is God Soul.
That's all. Okay.
So that I'm very excited because what I do is my 2 comfort food. So it's Spanish and Filipino, very modern. It's more like a bar. I don't want to be called a chef there. I just want to do something creative and fun, very inexpensive.
Okay.
You can have tapas for 200 pesos, a lot actually. Smaller portions.
So it's more casual.
Yeah, small plates, you know. And what I do in some of the dishes is just Spanish global tapas because and comfort food, because, you know, we open during the day also. But in many of the dishes is tapas format Filipino flavors. So we have, for example, humba stew. We put it like with mashed potato and we fry it.
Interesting.
We have a kinilaw tataki. We have Iberico pork with Bicol Express
That sounds
sauce.
awesome.
We have chicken in a sal paella.
Oh, okay. Sold.
Yeah, so, you know, very simple,
nice.
very, but the way it's presented even is very inexpensive. It's very modern. Small plates, fun, fun, but when you put in your mouth, very comforting. So very easy to understand. So each one of them, it have a completely different identity. And my goal in each one of and then I have Deli by Chele, sandwiches, I have my cheesecakes. So I want that. Actually, the new edition of Deli by Chele's in Rodwell is all the dining as more New York style.
Yes, there is.
So New York,
Yeah.
and so I like that if you go to Cantabria, you want to go to Asador, if you go to Gallery, you want to go to Alfonso Roasting Room, because each one of them, it complements each other.
Compliments, yeah.
And it's different, to each
Different
other.
experience, all this.
So for me, that part is very, very, very important.
Chef, do you have a favorite native ingredient that you like to use?
Many, it's like that is how we say Garriba Chele, with, we start to use Alibamban leaf, I remember, from the Aetas to use as a sour agent. We go to the ocean right now, we are learning a little bit about different clam and shells. What else, I like, from here that, is different to the sea mantis. I never, worked with that before. There is vegetables and root crabs that I never seen, like ube, and other different root crab. Of course, the heron rice, also the glutinous varieties. I never experienced that in my life. So if I will take, approach also to all of those different sour agents, like Batuan. So I think, there are very interesting things that I learned over the time.
Is there an underrated ingredient do you think that we should use more often?
Well, I always say that, calamansi is a very special ingredient for me because it's challenging to work with, but it's so magical at the same time. So there you have two in one, because the juice is so sour that you need to be able to balance how you use it. But then the skin, all of the natural oils that it bring up is more like sometimes like a mandarin.
Yes.
So it's like like something that is more aromatic and bright in the skin, but then something that is pungent of sourness, in the
punch of sour.
So I think I'm sure that so many dishes in the menu have calamansi. At least the skin or the zest or some kind of form. So calamansi is also essential, I think. Coconut. We did even a menu, around coconut because it's so versatile and so essential also in Asia.
Asia, yes.
Southeast Asia cuisine.
Okay, Chef, here is my last question. Since you've already won your Michelin star, basically also won a green star, and you've had so many accolades in your career. And like you said a while ago, we were talking about young chefs, right? What is your advice to up-and-coming chefs right now here in the Philippines?
Well, I will tell what it have been working for me, based also in my family, my mom values. Work hard, man. Work hard, be focused. As I mentioned before, the most important, the easiest part is to get there. We all at some point will have the opportunity to have a spotlight. Now, that is easy, for 1 month, 1 year, 6 months, you can get that attention. But then is the consistency, or to really keep that level is what is more difficult. First of all, you don't need to. Sometimes we don't need to get there. I mean, that comes with a lot of sacrifice, family sacrifice. You need to. One of the things I had to teach myself, and I need to, in the last years, we were talking before, how much time I spent in myself to really become a better leader, to do things better, to learn from their mistakes, to learn from things that, you are not proud about it, to be a better father, to put everything, to work in the kitchen at this level, I think in any level, in any field, is a lot of sacrifice. So let's don't, sometimes difficult also to a young person to think in that way, but sometimes the social media and all of this fast world make us take decisions that maybe we need a little bit more time to think twice. Take your time, life is long in these days, we are we live much more longer than our previous generations. Enjoy the moment, enjoy the ride. Go to good mentors, learn from them. Take your time to try to define what you want to do. Don't open a restaurant right away. That is a mistake. And if you do it and if you fail, that's okay. As far as, don't hurt you too much, financially. Try to look for investors. Don't put all your money in one bucket. Look for investors who are good partners and they can also support your business and your vision. Together, you also have to give your commitment. But I think enjoy the ride and have fun. Be passionate about it. Don't follow whatever you see in the social media. Most of the things are not true.
Agree. So, Chef, thank you so much for joining us here in Grab a Bite. It's been a pleasure.
you.
My God. I really enjoy this talk. I mean, I'm still shaking right now because, I'm still starstruck that you're here in our studio right now. So,
Thank you
Chef,
very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
One last thing, okay? Since you're a big music fan and you're a DJ, okay? What song or what track should I listen to describe your career right now? Because I'm going to listen to that later.
Okay, so-
I'm going to write it down.
So it's a song called Free at Last. It's a Martin Luther King speech. The name of the producer is Simon.
Simon.
Yeah, Free at Last is the name of the song. And the name of the label is Future Dreams. And I think that describes, free at last. Without freedom is no creativity. And without freedom, I will not able to come to the Philippines and pursue my dreams.
All right. So thank you so much, Chef. Thank you so much for joining us here. And I'd just like you to maybe if you have anything to invite anyone or in your restaurants, or maybe you have any upcoming projects that you'd like to let us know. Yeah, this is your time to basically invite them.
I will just to share that Gallery by Chele have a new project that is the Heirloom Rights. So we have a new menu. And now we have 2 restaurants in Asador Alfonso and Alfonso Roasting Room in Alfonso property. And God Soul is my more personal and passion project where I really blend music, and I don't even like to be called a chef there, but the food is really on point. So go there for the music or the vibe, or it's a listening bar. So I don't know. I just like to thank the opportunity to let me tell my story, and I hope this is also inspire people. Sharing stories is always beautiful.
So thank you so much, Chef, and I'll see you around.
Yes.
So that's it for us.
Do you think there's any?
If you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to follow all our socials at Bitesized.PH para updated kayo sa new episodes namin. See you in the next episode, foodies. Bye!